Detectives keep pushing. Perez spirals further. Eventually, Perez Jr. makes a false confession to killing his father.
All right, so I saw this story and I decided to look a little more into it, and it had my blood boiling. Now, I want to preface this by saying the cops do an important job on hunting down bad guys who actually do bad things, but Mr. Perez over here was not a bad guy who did nothing. And there was no victim besides Mr. Perez, as you'll see. So Fontana pays nearly $900,000 for a psychological torture inflicted by police to get a false confession. So these guys, these wonderful, beautiful men over here, interrogated this dude for 17 hours straight. Psychological torture, I mean, they really torture them. At one point, they even brought in the dude's dog and said, "We're going to euthanize this." His dog was in the room. They were talking about killing his dog.
We don't think you're a monster, Thomas.
Fontana police detectives grilling Thomas Perez Jr. after Perez Jr. reported his father missing. This interrogation descends into what's being described as psychological torture after the detectives extract a false murder confession from Perez.
We just told you we found your dead dad, and you don't give a.
That detective is lying. Perez Sr. was not dead. But in this moment, Fontana detectives don't know where he is. Perez Jr. reported him missing after they had an argument.
Apparently, he was distracted and unconcerned during the 911 call. They searched the house, noticed that his keys and other belongings were there. It looked like there was a sign of a struggle, but as noted here in this article, there was just renovations going on, and police dog had smelt out a body or alerted to a body in the location, but it wasn't really that. They were just blood stains due to diabetes tests. That's all the police had to go off of on why Perez killed his father.
A search warrant was served at the family home. Perez Sr.'s wallet, cell phone, and even some blood stains were discovered. A canine also alerted to the odor of possible human remains. Detectives unleash an unrelenting interrogation of Perez Jr.
You murdered your dad.
No, I did. Yes, you did. No.
Yeah,
Yes.
Daddy's dead because of you.
No.
Yes, not only that, but poor Morgan here.
Margot.
Sorry, Margot had to witness it.
Yep. I walked through the blood.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
The psychological effects of hours of grilling take their toll.
To the point where he created a story in his head where he actually killed his father. His father, totally alive, totally fine, just chilling, went to a girl's house, doing dad things, I don't know, while his son was being tortured. To the point where, one, they were withholding his medication. They brought his freaking dog in, said that they were going to euthanize him. And that was actually the breaking point for that. And he had created a story in his head about how he stabbed his father with the scissors over an altercation after his dad hit him over the head with a bottle. That never happened. None of that happened.
Steering says even after detectives learned Perez Sr. was alive, they did not tell Perez Jr. Instead, they had him held for mental distress.
Once they learned this, instead of telling him that because of what they did to him, they 5150 him. They place him on a civil protective custody hold, have him taken to the mental hospital, and then they tell the hospital that he's in custody and that he can't have anybody contacting him.
Later, towards the end of his little stint there in the torture room, his sister actually called, said, "Father's alive and well, nothing to worry about." And they didn't tell Mr. Perez that his father was okay. No. Why would you do such a thing? They obviously had made a big oopsie-whoopsie. So what they did was sent him off to the crazy house for 3 days with no contact. Family could not reach out to him. Didn't tell him that his father was okay. He actually tried to unalive himself after being left alone in the interrogation room. He was so distraught. He was just taken from his home after worrying about his dad disappearing, and then psychologically railroaded for 17 hours and then put in an institution for 3 days without knowing what the hell was going on. And these cops are still working their job. One retired. Oh well, but they're still just doing their thing. So $900,000, I don't think is enough. And I don't think that the taxpayers should be paying that $900,000. I feel like these individual officers should be the one who paid. but they have something called qualified immunity for police, which makes sense. You're doing a rough job, yada yada. But this was f***ing egregious. I don't think that this should have anything to do with qualified immunity. Just because you have this role should not completely eliminate you from doing certain horrible things and having retribution for it. But yeah, so he decided to settle for the close to $1 million, but not totally $1 million, instead of going to court because they're worried that it was just going to get tossed out. And after all that, actually, I just found this. I think I missed this part. After they picked up, the police picked up his father, who was alive. They still went to his house to go for a fishing expedition, looking for evidence that he assaulted an unknown victim. So Perez was released 3 days after his little psychological vacation, and he retrieved his dog from the Riverside County Animal Services. The only reason why he knew where his dog was is because his dog was microchipped. The police did not even give him the location of where they took his dog. So we all have that meme, the ATF, shoot his dog, that Chihuahua has a gun, you see the meme, we'll post it up on screen there. This is taken into psychological levels where you abduct the dog out of the house, say you're going to murder the dog, you don't actually murder the dog, and then release him into the system, which the dog could have just been put down right there at animals, depending on the animal shelter that you get taken to, which I am very happy he got his dog, because I mean that I'd be seeing red. I don't even. There's my dog right there. If somebody did that shit to my dog, you don't even want to know, bro. You don't even want to know. So Fontana police did not have any comment for this. 3 of the involved officers remain, with the department, and one of them retired, which I'm assuming might be. I mean, I would probably retire after some like that too. I will say, if anybody ever winds up in a situation, guilty or not, just ask for your lawyer. And I think I did read somewhere that he was never told he was he couldn't leave or anything like that. But with the psychological warfare they were bombing this man's brain with, I don't blame him. But this thing ever happens to you, you say lawyer, and this all goes away. Now you might be in holding or yada yada, but stop you from all of this nonsense.
The psychological effects of hours of grilling take their toll. Detectives keep pushing. Perez spirals further. Eventually, Perez Jr. makes a false confession to killing his father.
Now, I get accidents happen. Sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes you got to boo-boo. But, as a professional, you gotta realize, if you take this any further, I mean, granted, nothing happened to them, so I guess they did what was right. Yeah, for that, I don't think $900,000 is nearly enough for what this man went through. I think this is absolutely trash. This is garbage, all in all, through and through. Hell, that man needs several $1 million, and those cops need to be in the jail cell they were trying to force Perez into. I don't know. That's it. Guys.